my name is Cameron. Welcome back to my channel. Today is a very exciting video. I'm giving you the ultimate rundown of all of Jessa Hastings' books. And I'm gonna keep calling it the Magnolia Parks universe because, as I'll talk about later in this video, it is all in one universe, which is so cool. As a big fan of the Magnolia Parks series particularly, I've been asked by a lot of people in my real life, on Instagram, everywhere, to give a rundown of specifically my preferred reading order and the connections. All of this will be spoiler free, but I know that it can be confusing when you look at these 5 books, especially when the bookstore is always shelving them in the wrong order, because I notice that every time. I originally thought this was going to be a short little 2-minute reel and TikTok video, but here we are. I have a lot to say. I do have notes, so if you see me looking down, that's why. But Jessa Hastings has 8 published books right now, and we're gonna get into all of them. The plot, what order you should be reading them in, my favorites. Let's get into it. So, starting with the Magnolia Parks series, because that is what I would say she's most known for at the moment. One thing to note off the top of this video is that these books come in 2 different cover formats, and I have the traditionally published shoe covers, which let me know your thoughts, but let's just say that I will be spending a large sum of money in the future to get my hands on the indie published covers because they're beautiful. Jessa's best friend Emmy paints most of her covers. She painted the original 5 for Magnolia, and she's painted all of these as well. So I would love to have all of my books match, all of them be painted beautifully on the cover, but I'll pop up on the screen the corresponding reading order and covers for each of these books. The reading order is Magnolia Parks, Daisy Haites, Magnolia Parks, The Long Way Home, Daisy Haites, The Great Undoing, and then Magnolia Parks, Into the Dark. It is confirmed we're getting a Daisy 3 and a Daisy 4, but I don't know when. She hasn't started working on them, as far as I know, on August 30th, which will be long before this video even gets posted, so you guys will know before me. But I think we're getting a new Magnolia book, which is crazy because we thought that Into the Dark would be the last one. I think it might be from their school years though, so it's a prequel. Either way, that's very exciting. I might have to insert a clip of my thoughts once that gets released. Editing Cam here, popping in to say that that was crazy of me to think, and we are not getting a new Magnolia book. We did get a Substack subscription that we can pay for to see some more of Magnolia, which the free tier does have the intro, and it's apparently 8 years after Into the Dark when she's writing for us, which is fun, but it's not a new book. But don't be fooled, there is not a new book to add into this mix. You're all good. I have 2 things to say before we get into the non-spoiler plot rundown. First of all, both Magnolia and Daisy have kind of a unique thing about them that goes on in the chapters in their POV. So Magnolia, for starters, she's big on fashion. And when I say that, I mean most outfits in this book are described in brand and style, all the pieces of the outfit, excruciating detail. So if you don't like that, you can skip it, but I can see how it would get annoying. Daisy's people also dislike sometimes. Daisy's chapters all have footnotes, and there's quite a few, like some pages have 4 separate footnotes. I think it's really fun. It shows kind of a more fun side of her personality, or it gives us more detail to situations that we might not be familiar with, because she finds herself in a lot of situations that many of us are not familiar with, I can guarantee. Secondly, if you are not one of the people who would find Magnolia's outfit descriptions annoying and you're interested and you don't want to Google 15 million things, I have the solution for you. If you go on Instagram, and I'm gonna look at my notes so I don't mess this up, the account named @the.mpu.closet has made 284 visuals that are all of these outfits that she describes, which I think is so cool. I will say when you go on that account, you have to immediately scroll all the way to the bottom to start at Magnolia 1. And it's listed by chapter in the captions. It's really awesome. I appreciated it if I was confused or wanted to see because something sounded so crazy. It's all there, and it's all luxury brands, and it's really awesome that someone has done that. And like I said, scroll all the way to the bottom. Don't stop and look. Just keep scrolling until you get to chapter 1 of Magnolia 1. You've been warned. You may be asking, Cameron, like, what is so special about these books? You've been going on, and I have no idea what the plot is. allow me to enlighten you. In Magnolia Parks, we're following Magnolia Parks and her extremely toxic on-again, off-again boyfriend, BJ Valentine. Now, oh my god, ew, why is his name BJ? I never once cared. You're not thinking about that when you're reading this, okay? The drama is too much. Parks and BJ are high society Londoners in their early 20s. They don't need to have jobs. They just hang out with their friends or maybe they do have jobs. That's not the main point. Their relationship is seriously like a car crash. You have to keep watching, even though it's so horrible and it's so toxic. They never cease to amaze me, I'll give them that much. It's just one of those things that you have to keep reading because they're so obviously horrible for each other. Then you add in the aspect of them being insanely rich, so they make up with each other by buying each other Gucci and like... Magnolia and BJ are part of a big friend group called The Box Set, which includes BJ's brother Henry, Christian and Jonah Hems, and Paley and Perry. And I think that's everybody. And basically you're following the friendship group drama because they're so annoyed at Magnolia and BJ, and they go on trips, and there's some new characters that I can't exactly mention. Tom England, remember that name for later. In summary, this book is just rich people drama. I really don't want to give too much away, but there's family plot, there's friend plot, there's obviously these two. You see some text messages in here. Really good stuff. I will say this for probably every single book. Jessa Hastings' writing is definitely what keeps me coming back. This book, I would say you have to keep going with this series for sure. A lot of people prefer Magnolia's books over Daisy's. I would read all of it. Some people love The Great Undoing. I don't even know what my favorite book is in this series, but it's the writing for sure. She has such a unique and beautiful writing style that even though these are insanely rich people and you've never experienced, again, Daisy's life is crazy, but the human emotion is so real and everybody has felt the way these characters feel. So that brings us to Daisy Haites, which is book 2, and she's also in London. Her and The Box Set have kind of been in the same circles. The POVs in this book are Daisy, her brother Julian, and Christian. So this one you definitely learn more about Christian and more about The Box Set. So Daisy's a medical student. She lives in a big house with her older brother Julian and his boys. Now, you may be thinking, what does that even mean? Find out for yourself, okay? They're just, all I can say is there are like 7 of them and Daisy cooks for them and she has a few rules. Actually, here, this might give you a better idea. Daisy, chapter 1. No guns at the dinner table. That's my one rule. Call me old-fashioned, I don't know. It's just what I've always said to the boys. And about these boys, I had in my notes actually that in order to further explain these boys, they each have their own unique sets of pros and cons, red flags, warrants, and no-fly statuses. And together, they comprise the inner sanctum of my brother's outfit. Footnote. Which is much larger than 7 men. Hundreds of men work for Julian, and I don't remember their names, but we mostly just refer to the rest of them as the underlings and the footmen. So that's Daisy. After the Daisy book, you go into Long Way Home, which obviously I can't give too much away. This is now the 3rd book in the series, but this definitely gets deeper on an emotional level. I actually forgot to mention that at the end of Magnolia Parks, you get a big twist. There's kind of a lot of shocking things throughout this whole book, but there's a big twist at the end, and then you find out that that is not even the half of it, and there's a lot of emotional trauma in here, which brings us to The Great Undoing, where there's more emotional trauma. I need to reread this series because just reading the back of this book is making me go, I miss it. I miss him, I miss her. You don't know who him is. After The Great Undoing, which I can barely tell you anything about for spoilers' sake, we've got Into the Dark. The only thing I'm gonna say about this is this one handles grief. So all of the emotional damage that was done in the first 2 Magnolia books is now heightened by a lot. So, why is this man wearing Vans? Why? That's my best attempt at making these books sound appealing to you. From what I gather, you either love them or you hate them. One of my best friends tried to read Daisy and skipped right to the next Magnolia book. I don't even think she's gonna read the Daisy books, which is fine, but you know. Lucky for you, even if you absolutely despise Magnolia Parks and Daisy Haites and all that they have to offer, Jessa Hastings has 3 other worlds that you can dive into. Except the fun part is, if you do love Magnolia Parks, they're not other worlds at all. We have Never by Jessa Hastings, which was the first book that she published outside of the Magnolia Parks series. This was in 2023. Never is a Peter Pan story, but it is based in the J.M. Barrie novel, not your usual Disney fairy tale that you might think of. We follow Daphne, who is the granddaughter of Wendy Darling, and all of the women in the Darling family get a visit from Peter Pan, usually by the age of 14, somewhere in the preteen years. So all of her life she's heard such great things about this boy, and she kind of starts to wonder if it's fake because he doesn't show. So she's now 17, turning 18 in a couple of months, and Peter shows up, but he is not what you'd expect. And then you go from there. She ends up in Neverland. She's meeting a lot of original characters, which is so fun. I'm really glad that it wasn't trying to include characters that wouldn't have fit. A lot of things happen that you might not anticipate in this book. But like I said, if you've read the J.M. Barrie version, you kind of maybe expect a bit of a darker twist on your usual Neverland. This left me with a lot of questions, but she has officially been posting that she's working on Never 2, which I'm really excited for. There's a lot of beautiful writing in here as well. This is our first introduction to Jessa writing a man with an accent. She did pirate. I don't know what his actual accent is, but later on, we've also got an accent. There's one big metaphor in here called the baggage claim, and that sticks with me, I think. And she's already posted excerpts from Never 2 that bring back up the baggage claim and its effects. I'm scared. So that's Never in a nutshell. Now, this year we were blessed with 2 releases from Jessa Hastings. And the first, in April, I believe, was her first ever standalone novel. This is The Conditions of Will. Take a moment. I actually think that the best explanation I can give of this plot is the first paragraph of the summary. So I'm just gonna read it to you. London-based Georgia Carter, professional lie detector and body language savant, has long been estranged from her infuriating, close-minded, wealthy South Carolina family. After a falling out years ago, the chasm runs deep between the black sheep, Georgia, and her gay alcoholic brother, and their parents and elder siblings. But when their father dies suddenly, Georgia returns to the States for the funeral, where she comes face to face with Sam Penny, her brother's AA sponsor. Those are pennies, in case you were wondering. This cover is crazy. This might be my favorite. This is the back. The cover is beautiful. The title I might even like even more. After you read this, it's one of those where you close the book and you just have to stare at the wall for a few minutes because it's crazy. And the title really has a few different meanings if you've read this. Between the sibling relationships in here, the death of a loved one, secrets coming out, it's a great read. And like I said, it's a standalone, so that is awesome if you just want a taste of Jessa's writing. Most recently, in July, Jessa published Time of Your Life. Now, this one's fun. It's set in the 90s. Our female main character is Isolde Fanshawe, and she's a supermodel. Everybody knows her. She's the face of so many perfume ads. She's very famous. And then our male main character is Joa Harrigan, and he is the front man of a British boy band with his brother. So again, we've got siblings in here. If there's one thing Jessa Hastings can write, it's a sibling dynamic. And it hurts every time. But that's why we come back. Joa has a Mancunian accent. In the front of the book, we've got a pronunciation guide because Isolde's last name is insane, and a Mancunian slang guide. So it's kind of fun. A lot like the character in Never, you're kind of decoding whatever he's saying. I loved this. It kind of made you think harder about what he was saying because I don't know what this accent would have sounded like in 1995, but I believed it. She did good. She wrote it well. In Jessa's own words, Iz and Joa make Book 1, Magnolia, and BJ look like they've already gone to therapy. And in some ways, that's very true. I think that their relationships are totally different, but this is pretty crazy. I think it's the element of the heightened public eye that really makes this very dramatic. We've got news articles sprinkled throughout here. It's a good read for sure. It's so interesting because these two and Magnolia and BJ are both so messy, so toxic, but they're very unique and distinct in my head. Like, it's not like she's just writing the same fights over and over kind of thing. Again, I think it's being in the public eye is a huge piece of this. What I will say actually about these two, Georgia and Sam and Iz and Joa, both kind of fall into the insta-love trope, but you have to suspend your disbelief a little bit. This, they fall hard, they fall fast, and then they crash and burn. I can see how the insta-love thing would be annoying for some people, so I do want to say that. If you're going into Jessa Hastings for the first time, be forewarned, but it's worth it. Like I said, I just love Jessa's writing. It's very relatable, even though you may not think that you can relate to a rich British woman, a supermodel in the 90s, a girl in Neverland, but you do. Jessa will put into words things that I would never know how to explain, that I've felt before. And then when I read it, I'm like, oh, that's what it was. And the metaphors she uses are so real. Anyways, now for the fun part. Earlier, I alluded to the fact that all of these books take place in the same universe, and we're gonna dive into that. If you've seen a little bit of my content about Time of Your Life and Never, then you've seen me talk about, oh my god, this person just showed up, this person just showed up, this person's mom, whatever it is. That's what makes it so much fun. I've been very excited about all of the crossover, and I'm very excited to share it with you. Again, no spoilers. Let's start with Never. This may be the most difficult to believe that there's a connection to any of these other books because we're in Neverland, but Daphne lives in London before she goes to Neverland. So we learn that Daphne's boyfriend last summer was a man named Jasper England. You may recall I told you to remember the name Tom England with no context, but let's just say I was super excited to get that little nod to probably like a grandfather or a great-great-grandfather of Tom England. I love that she has made these connections because she didn't have to do that. She did not have to connect this book to the rest of them, but she did. She did for people like me, who when I read that I went, In Conditions of Will, again, this is taking place in the States, but Georgia is from London. She lives in London. So naturally, her ex-boyfriend, she's remembering a moment with him, and he told her that something happened to Julian's sister. Julian's sister? Crazy. Again, she did not have to tie this in. Georgia could have been from South Carolina, but no, she lives in London. And lastly, Time of Your Life. This one is the one set in the 90s, and this is the one I made the reel of me bleeping out every other word that I said because there's quite a few people in here. And this is gonna be no context for those of you that haven't read it, but we've got Harley Parks, Magnolia's dad, is Joa's producer. Okay? Let that sink in. Then we see him with this woman who has a Russian name, but we can only assume is Ari Parks, who becomes Magnolia's mom. I won't say how we saw them interact, but let's just say it wasn't good. We've got Paley's mom, we saw one other person's mom. It might have just been Harley, Ari, and Paley's mom. I forget her name. But it made me hee hee ha ha at the situations in which those three characters were presented. But it couldn't have been that much before they had their kids because I'm pretty sure Magnolia Parks takes place in 2021 and she's probably 24? I don't know. I'm not an expert on that timeline, unfortunately. I did come up with my best shot at a diagram for us, so it'll be on the screen. I believe Conditions of Will is in the future. I think it's between Daisy 3 and Daisy 4, because again, something happened to Julian's sister. So what happened to her? We don't know. That's the worst part, is we read that and we have no idea. And that's why everyone's like, oh my god, where's Daisy 3? And Jessa Hastings is like, stop asking that, or never. Or it will come out never. So my recommended reading order would be Magnolia Parks, Daisy Haites, Magnolia the Long Way Home, Daisy Haites The Great Undoing, Magnolia Into the Dark, and then I would do Conditions of Will, Time of Your Life, and then Never. The last two you can kind of interchange. That's basically just the publishing order, And the way I did it, I read Never Last just because I kept it on my shelf for 2 years. But basically read the series in the order that I told you, and then you can do with that what you will. This video might have helped you formulate your opinion on which way to read them. On August 15th, 2024, and I know that because I have a screenshot, Jessa Hastings posted a blocked out, scribbled out list of all the books that she has a plan for writing. So, confirmed are Daisy Hates Something End, I believe it says, Daisy Hates, and then I can't read the rest of it, Never 2, 3, and 4. Then, later on the list, we see what was actually called In Another Life, Part 1, 2, and 3, which I believe just became Time of Your Life because it's been confirmed that this is actually Part 1, then we're getting Part 2, and then we're getting a third book, which is actually Book 2, technically. The most exciting thing on that list for me is it says Varley Harley Volume 1. I believe that's what it says. So I thought that was going to be Harley Parks' time at Varley. But it might not say Varley Harley because, first of all, that's pretty stupid. Second of all, with these teasers that we've been getting as of late, like I mentioned, I think it's going to be Magnolia when she was at Varley. By the way, Varley Hall is their boarding school that all of the kids in the box set went to when they were younger. I really hope it's the box set when they were at Varley and not Harley when he was at Varley. Either way, I'm obviously gonna eat it up, so who am I to complain? There's a few other things on that list that I can't read or don't have any theories for, so I won't really cover them there, but I will have the screenshot up for you to see at some point. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching me talk about my favorite author for however long this video is. Let me know if you have any questions, when you're gonna start, if you've read any of these, your thoughts, your feelings, and like and subscribe. It makes a big difference if you like this video. And yeah, that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.